Ohayo gozaimasu. This is not my usual greeting, but I woke up very early today, and it means good morning in Japanese. Yep. So, I usually don't come back and do this. I'm doing another blog today, kind of off the cuff. There was some stuff that's been rolling around in my head for, God, I think for about 2 weeks, week and a half, I'd say. And I expressed some of these thoughts to my friend Adi and talked with him a bit. Of course, there's going to be a little bit more, but I really felt it was important to do this blog. Guess I don't look bad without a shave, right? But I wanted to say, is transition really right for people? That's kind of what the topic is. Now, people that are part of the trans community, they have a certain amount of turmoil that goes on. I suppose that I get into this point, but I want to make people aware of a few points that don't try to do that type of physical transition and say that you want to do it to be popular or to be, I don't know, more attractive. I could see if somebody's coming from the gay community, maybe I can see how I can fit in. I pretty much come from the straight community, but I'm not saying that there isn't anything for guys. So this is where I'm kind of stuck a little bit, but I think I'm probably more stuck in a way where I get concerned about how things would work with women if I did it. So I think if somebody like me, you have to kind of come to terms with that in some way. Recently I've been coming across some very attractive women, and it's been hot summer weather for a while, so people are skinnily clad to some degree and they look beautiful, and I see people at the gym and whatnot, and I say, yeah, they look beautiful, but how does that interpret into me? There's more facets than saying, okay, I want to look this way. Let's say on my side of things, you want to look like a girl. Okay, you want to look like a girl, you want to be a girl, you want to have all that stuff. Be fully aware that people can actually pass very much as girls, and I think that's a good thing. But people also have to be aware that even though they may pass most of the time, maybe not all the time. So you gotta ask yourself the question as to, how do I contend with that? I think people can be pretty touchy-feely. I think even more so probably on the male to female side, because there's a more delicate person there, and I can definitely speak from that experience. I know that a lot of turmoil was generated in me back in the day before I started to go into clubs and presenting. Mind you, I went to straight clubs, regular clubs, and I really didn't have any problems. I was probably more queer looking than anybody else, so it's kind of hard for anybody to not notice, okay? But I got some very positive feedback from that. When I went to therapy, it was not a good experience for me. I was pretty much at a breaking point for a number of things. My schedule, working at night, working a cajillion hours, never mind these issues that came about. But it always hit me like a ton of bricks. Whenever I'd say something, like I'd want to have hair permanently removed, and even thought about things about my face, maybe, but that was always like in question, even more so than anything else. I would go over there, and it's kind of like, I would go, but I'm bringing these different parts of me, okay? Now, there's different parts of me, one that likes to dress up, have the shoes, be presenting, has some element of pink and all these feminine things there that I really, really do like. Then there's the other part of me that's the Saturday mechanic, automotive enthusiast guy that's probably dressed up in clothes that aren't too fancy, meant to get dirty, and they are dirty, and I probably have a little bit of grease on my face and, some kind of dirty kind of thing going on, because that's what I do when I'm pretty busy. Then there's the other part of me that likes to date, so when I'm going on a date at the time, okay, for where I was at that in that part of my life, I would usually slick my hair back, maybe have a collared shirt, dress pants, dress shoes, the whole 9 yards, just to kind of play up to the thing to look nice for a woman. That me was just, it was a me to try to satisfy this woman, try to make her happy, you know? So I would be kind of wrestling with things. And then the other part of me that would be represented here was the me at work, wearing a nice clean white lab coat, having my instruments in my pockets and everything. Once again, with my hair slicked back and tied back in a ponytail, and I would hide the ponytail to some degree. So, and having people call me doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I had the whole image, so they just kind of assume. I would hold myself back, on quite a few things and offer myself an image in a way that was presentable and what my bosses would expect and what my coworkers would expect of me. And I had a whole demure about that too. Not me at all, entirely trapped, not very happy, not healthy at all. And I can tell you many times I would want to get out of work and I would undo my hair as soon as I get in the car and I'm off, I'm just like, let me free. The other part of me is the casual me, which is the casual me, like, dressed casually, look like a dude, and grocery shopping and that sort of stuff. So those are just some different elements. The last me that could be represented was the me that was completely torn inside, crying and begging for the other parts of me to please come together in some way so that I just don't completely melt down. This is not a multiple personality thing I'm identifying, it's just different parts that are represented in different ways and how I convey myself to the world. So it was really difficult. You kind of wonder which part of you speaks loudest and how to really kind of bring this all together, because the me that was crying, the me that was upset, was in a lot of pain and really trying to find some answers and looking for answers and maybe some hope or faith or guidance or some direction from the other parts of me. So it's very difficult. It can drive somebody to be depressed, but when you have feelings for women, that's a whole other thing. I think people from the gay community, that's another thing too. They might not be accepted. I think, from my experience, for myself, and as far as I can see, I don't know if it's something that would be absolutely necessary. At the core of me, I see that I do have a strong need to just feel loved. So if I were to hook up, and marry a trans girl or be with somebody that way and date with somebody, that would be fine. If I were to go out with a guy, I'd explore territory, but if that met their requirement, okay, a trans guy, another possibility. So there's a ton of things going on that people kind of have to work out. I'm really making this video sincerely for the younger people who aren't sure and going through all this strife. Even if you're not, that's fine, but you have to find your way. There are videos that I've seen, a few in particular, and they do say it up front. There's people in the community, a male to female definitely comes to mind, that they've made the decision to detransition. Now, I've made a joke in the past about that, commented in somebody's video about that, where they made a joke about it and I kind of added to it. But it actually does happen. And this individual is from the gay community. They started the transition when they were 16, and at the point they made the video, they were somewhere in their early 20s. And I guess they did it because they felt more comfortable, but they hadn't come to terms with themselves as a gay man. And by the time that they wanted to detransition, and they actually have the intent, they're in the process now, they had accepted that, and they said, you know what, I'm okay with this. I guess they said that, they kind of used it like a crutch, something that would kind of help them be more accepted, but it wasn't something that they absolutely needed to do. So when you go to a therapist, right, if you get a reaction from there and you say something, and they might say, or at least I picked up from my guy, it's like, whoa, hang on a second. Son, you might really want to think about that. I guess that's what comes to mind. People go through a lot of turmoil. You want to go through certain stages, you want to present, you want to do what you have to do. But ask yourself the question, what's truly me? What's my thing? What am I about? What makes me happy? I get to think of it, sometimes I get interaction from people out here, and there might be a nice girl that says something nice about me. She knows about this, but she says something nice to me. So the thought occurred to me, I said, well, I kind of know some people that I like. I would definitely date a trans girl, trans guy, hands down, yep. Could date a gay guy, yep, sure. But what if there was a genetic girl that liked me? How would I approach that? And not only liked me, but after going out with her and telling her that she accepted this, it's a whole other can of worms. You could say, wow, if I did transition physically, would I be passing something up? There's some big things to take into consideration. If you transition by way of hormones, you're not going to be making babies, and I'm not sure what's involved if you get off them, if you're able to do that. Because there's some people that are genetic that really don't do anything at all, and as a couple, they might have trouble bringing children into the world. The other thing is that it's kind of irreversible to some degree. I mean, you did give up quite a bit. If you go and get surgery down there, I don't want to go and separate people in the community, and I will accept full criticism that comes from people. I'm not going to sound like an anti-transition person. No. I will never go to deny what I am. But sometimes I think finding that way to yourself, finding what makes you comfortable, doesn't necessarily mean a physical transition. I'm not one to say never. I do my blogs out here because I'm being open and honest at the time, and I want to represent the people who are probably at the same point I am, or maybe younger, and just kind of getting into things. It's a very big deal. And you also have to consider, surgery. What are the risks of things happening? It's very, very big stuff. I like to hear about people's lives and whatnot. I really do. But looking up and finding the videos that are more informational with regards to those kinds of topics and transition stuff, physical transition, it's very important. Do you take hormones and run the risk of probably developing cancer? You have a higher level of developing cancer. I don't know all the facts, but I did hear this from a blog of a girl who did transition physically and do that by way of hormones. It's stuff to think about. No babies, risk to your health. I don't know. What kind of price is somebody worth willing to pay to have this? I don't want to spew a whole thing in the medical community and say, we gotta regulate this and all that. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think people need to have their options. But I think when you look at those options, it's something that people need to consider carefully, not only for physical things, but what's inside you. If you're 20-something, I don't think you really know yourself until you probably get to be like 30. And even people who are 30 and 35 might not know themselves well. So it is important to seek therapy, and don't consider it to be the thing that kind of solves all your problems.